And welcome to another video with Iron Gwyn. Yay! And today, welcome to another episode of Ideas. So last time I gave the idea of a Walking Dead collectible minifigure series. And during the past 2 weeks, I've been thinking about what I can do for this episode. Some of my favourite games are Team Fortress 2 and Portal. I considered both of them as options to make CMF series on, but neither of them have enough characters to create an entire series. Then I thought about putting the two together, but then there still wasn't enough figures, so then I decided I would do a collectible minifigure series on Valve, the company that makes both games plus others. This series will take characters from Team Fortress 2, Portal, Left 4 Dead, CSGO, and HalfLife. I think that's it. Yeah, I have never played any of the previously mentioned CSGO, Half-Life, and Left 4 Dead myself, so I used the internet to come up with characters. Some of the characters may have incorrect. I may have chosen the wrong accessories for some of the characters. Most of these games, well, a few of these games are shooters. And I know that Lego doesn't like guns. So for some characters, I've used their revolver piece, but that's pretty much the only gun. I haven't created any new molds for guns. So now let's get into the series. So let's start off with Team Fortress 2. The first figure I chose for Team Fortress 2 is the Scout. He would use the regular already molded hat piece, baseball cap, and he will be in his red team colours. Now, although the picture there has a shotgun, I will not be giving him his shotgun because, as I mentioned earlier, so I will be giving him his default melee weapon, which is a baseball bat, which will be molded in grey rather than the regular wood colours because his is a metal baseball bat. The next character is the soldier, who will have a new molded hat that goes right down over the printed eyes. He will be in his blue coloring, even though the picture's in red, and he will use the already existing Lego spade piece for his melee weapon, which is the shovel. So the next character is the Pyro. He will be in his red uniform. He'll have a new mold for his mask, which will go over the minifig head with a blank black head underneath, because we have no idea what's under there. It could be a Tyrannid from Warhammer. It could be Kai from Ninjago. No one knows. It may even be Mario. Or it could be Wonder Woman. Who knows what's under that mask? So we'll just leave it a black face so that we don't give anything away. And then his accessory will be the new for 2019 Fireman's Axe, which was released in the Lego City Fireman wave, which is dual molded with the axe at the top and then the handle. I considered having him use the lolly stick that he has in Pyroland, but then I thought that Lego's more likely to go off the game, so I just gave him the fire axe. So the next character is the Demo Man. I decided to have him in blue. He'd use the pre-existing beanie piece on his head, and he would have the already existing Lego wine bottle piece as his melee weapon. So then we have the Heavy. He will be in his red colouring. He will have no hairpiece because he is bald. And the Heavy uses his hands for his melee weapon. He punches things. So I had to think of a different accessory for him, so I gave him his sandwich, which will be a new piece that LEGO would create with a stud on the bottom which can slot on top of his hand. Then we have the engineer, who will be in his blue colouring. He will not need a new mold for his hard hat because there's already the hard hat piece used for LEGO city construction that we can just put on his head. Then he'll have a new mold for his wrench, and he'll use a new print for Benny's toolbox from the LEGO Movie 2 collectible minifigure series. Then we have the medic, who will be in his red printing, and he'll have a new mold for a bone saw. He will use the hairpiece used for Peter Venkman from Ghostbusters in LEGO Dimensions, but in grey. Then we have the sniper, who will be in his blue printing. He will use Indiana Jones's hat rather than creating a new mold, and he would have his machete as his accessory, which would be the already existing machete piece. And the last Team Fortress 2 character would be the spy. He would be in his red printing with no hairpiece, with his mask printed on. He'd have a new piece for his knife and the already existing revolver. Then we move on to Portal. Of course, I had to include Shell because she's the main character, but we already got her Portal 2 uniform in LEGO Dimensions with a perfectly fine build for a portal gun. So I've given her in her Portal 1 uniform, where she's got the full orange suit on, and I will give her a companion cube, which will be a Lego Minecraft head printed to look like a companion cube that she can hold. I know that's not to scale, but Lego never does anything to scale, so. Next, also from Portal, we have Atlas, one of the cooperative play characters from Portal 2. For Atlas and Peabody, I have given them a new torso piece, which is mostly hollowed out with the edges around, with a stud in the middle, and then a newly molded head that's different for both of them. And the newly molded head will connect onto the stud at the back. I don't know if I described that well, but oh well. And Atlas will use the same mold, the same design for a portal gun that Shell used in LEGO Dimensions, but he'll have it in his own colours. Then we have Peabody, who would have a turret, and the turret would have a newly molded leg design, which would connect to the new piece that was created for Peabody's head. Next, we have Cave Johnson. Although he's not in the game, he is very important to the lore of the game and is seen as pictures multiple points. I thought it would be better taken from his 1970s picture, which is what you can see here. And then he would have a 2x2 light brown Lego piece with a tile on top, printed with exploding lemons printed on the top. Then we move on to Left 4 Dead. I don't know much about these characters. I just chose the 4 playable characters from Left 4 Dead 2. I read descriptions on them and chose the accessories I thought would be best. And I need to go back a bit. Sorry, Shell would use the same hairpiece she used in Portal 2 for the LEGO Dimensions, and Cave Johnson would again use the Peter Venkman hair, but printed to be grey. Then we have Rochelle, who would have her camera because she's a journalist, or she was before the zombies existed. She would use the braided hairpiece in black, And yeah, she'd use the already existing camera. Then we have Nick. I don't know much about him. He would also have a lot of people. Okay, I'll use a different hairpiece for him. He'll use the Widow's Peak, the hairpiece the vampires use in brown. No, that wouldn't work. Let's just leave him with the Peter Venkman hairpiece in brown. Then his suit will be printed, and because this was really the only picture I could find of him, he would have the already existing frying pan piece as his accessory. Then we would have Coach, who would not have a hairpiece, and he would have the same fireman's axe as Pyro because it's in this picture here. As I said, I don't know much about these characters. So then we have Ellis, who would use the already existing baseball cap mold, and because he's holding a pistol in this picture, I gave him a revolver to try and get some more guns in. Next, we move on to CSGO. I chose SAS out of the list of pre-existing characters because I wanted one counter-terrorist and one terrorist just to even it out. I have given the SAS soldier a knife, and because it's Lego, he would not have a printed flag because Lego doesn't do flags. But he would have the same mold for his head as Pyro uses. It would be reused here in a different color. So then we have a Galilla Warfare, who would have the revolver piece because I had a look at the CSGO weapons, and revolver and knife were like the only weapons I could do. So yeah, this guy would have a newly molded hairpiece with the bandana dual molded on. Then we move on to HalfLife for the last 3 figures, and I couldn't find much about these characters at all, so I have no idea what accessories they use. I chose Dr. Gordon Freeman, who would use the regular male's hairpiece, and he would have a build similar to the portal gun for his gravity gun. I don't know if he uses the gravity gun, that may not be accurate. I just know it's a thing from Half-Life that I wanted to get in. Then we have Barney Calhorn, who's another character from Half-Life, who uses the same hairpiece but in black, and I had no idea what accessory to give him, so he wouldn't have one. And then last but not least, I decided to get a bad guy from Half-Life in, so I got Dr. Wallace Breen, who would again use the same hairpiece. They all have very similar hairstyles, but in white, and I have no idea what accessory to give him. So, overall for the list, we have the Scout, the Soldier, the Pyro, the Demo Man, the Heavy, the Engineer, the Medic, the Sniper, the Spy, Shell, Atlas, Peabody, Cave Johnson, Rochelle, Nick, Coach, Ellis, SAS, Galera Warfare, Dr. Gordon Freeman, Barney Calhorn, and Dr. Wallace Breen. So I like the list I ended up coming up with. I have used most of the spaces to represent the characters I wanted to get in because I felt that I had to use 9 spaces for Team Fortress 2 because I couldn't put one of them in without putting all of them in. So the first 9 spaces were decided already. Then I had a look at different characters to do for Portal. I considered having Caroline, which is Cave Johnson's wife, with a new mold for Potato GLaDOS just to get GLaDOS into it, but I needed to cut some characters from Portal, so I removed her. I also considered doing Shell from Portal 2, but then I decided that but then I remembered that she already exists in Lego form, and I probably shouldn't do her again. Then I just filled the rest of the spaces, making sure I represented all other, or a few other of Valve's most popular properties. I was originally going to add Dota in, but when I had a look at the Dota hero list, I realized that there was way too many characters to just choose like 3 or 4. And if I wanted to do Dota, I'd need to do an entire Dota series. Since I've never played the game, I have no interest in doing that. But that, in case you're wondering, that's why Dota isn't in here. If there are any other Valve properties I missed, that's because they're not popular enough. I chose all of Valve's. I took all of Valve's popular franchises plus Team Fortress because it's one of my favorite Valve games. So, thank you for watching this video. If you liked, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you would like to see the if you would have liked any other characters differently, or you would like any accessories differently, please let me know in the comments below. I'm really interested to find out what you think. Thank you, and I will see you next week for a LEGO review. Farewell.